Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Ağsu and Beylagan in Azerbaijan. Now, you might be wondering, those are two very random places in Azerbaijan. Well, you see, on my channel, I am going through every region of the world in alphabetical order. I made this list in 2020 and early 2021. It took me months to make it. And in mid 2021, Azerbaijan changed all its administrative divisions. It divided things up extremely into far more than there was before, into very small districts. So I had to go back and edit my list for that. But I left out one. I left out Ağsu somehow. So thank you to the viewer who caught that. If you think I might have missed any others, I know Algeria has done some weird shifting to their administrative divisions in the last few years. And it's kind of weird. I'll talk about it in a few weeks when we talk about Algeria. But if you think I've missed any others, please let me know. Even if it's that is actually, because France is a little weird. I'm doing the départements instead of the regions. So if it's I'm actually going to do that with this, but thank you. It's still good because then I get to check and recheck my lists. It gives me an opportunity to go through various countries. So yes, please, if you think I've skipped anything by accident, please let me know. I'd appreciate it. But we're talking about these two random places in Azerbaijan tonight. They are very small. Like I said, Azerbaijan just took a pizza cutter to this country and made all of the regions very small. They were very big before. Now there's a bunch of very tiny ones. And in those tiny areas, sometimes, like tonight, there's not a lot to show. So normally in this series, after we go over history and geography, we hop over to Google Earth to check out the area through satellite pictures and things like that. But there's really not a lot to look at in these areas. So I am just going to intersperse little bits throughout this video of things that I did find on Google Earth. It's not a lot, but what I found is kind of neat. So let's start off by talking about Azerbaijan. And here on Google Earth, I'll zoom out so you can see exactly where Azerbaijan is. Azerbaijan is located in the Caucasus region of Eurasia. It's one of those things is it part of Europe? Is it part of Asia? I think it's technically, geographically part of Asia, but culturally part of Europe. It's very complicated, so Eurasia is the answer to that complication. The Caucasus Mountains are one of the traditional natural barriers between Europe and Asia, kind of, because then there's that debate with that part of Russia. Is that part of Asia? Is that part of Europe? We're not going to get into that. It's so complicated in the Caucasus. But tonight we're talking about Ağsu. Ağsu is located in the southern Caucasus in an area known as the Lanjabiz Mountains. I'm most likely pronouncing that wrong. It's very hard to find Azerbaijan pronunciations. But within those mountains is the Shirvan Valley, where Ağsu is located. Nearby is the Perkulu State Nature Reserve, also known as the Shadog National Park. Very little bit of it is within Ağsu district, just a teeny bit. I'll throw up pictures here of what that area looks like. It's very beautiful, but again, only just a teensy bit of it is in Ağsu. And all the neat things about it are outside of Ağsu, sadly. So, unfortunately, we don't get to play around that region. The Ağsu River also flows through Ağsu. The town's named after the river. Also, one of the Ağsu region's claim to fame are the Biko carpets. And I'll just flash pictures up here from Google Images of what Biko carpets look like. A big cultural point in that area, and my goodness, aren't they beautiful rugs? So pretty. Beylagan down here. Not much to say geography-wise. It is part of a lowland area of Azerbaijan. It is mostly farmland, and a little bit of it borders Iran. You can see Iran right here. This district is like this size. It's, yeah. They're all too small to draw, or else you wouldn't be able to read anything on my map. So, let's start with Beylagan and its history, because it's much older than Ağsu's. The town was originally founded in the 5th century, and it was a trading center because, of course, like I said, the Caucasus really connects Europe to Asia. This would have been Persia at the time, which, had all kinds of trading networks throughout it. So this would be a great way to head north up into Georgia's just up there, Armenia's over here, Anatolia and Turkey, it's nearby. So it was a very big trading center. I hope you can't hear that. My cat has the zoomies. He's running like a maniac right now. So if you hear a little cat trilling and running, that's what's happening. But unfortunately, this town was destroyed by the Mongols in the 13th century, completely razed to the ground. There was an attempt to rebuild it in the 14th century, but I think the people in charge of building it ran out of funding, if I remember correctly, and it failed, and it was just kind of abandoned. Not much else happened here in history. I'm pretty sure that this town would have been established in the 20th century, probably early 20th century, maybe in the 1920s when the Soviet era was more prominent here in Azerbaijan, because then it would have been an industry town, because they always established towns to be the heavy industries or farming centers, so it was probably a combination of both, I would guess. The only other thing I found here in Beylagan, and I'll throw it up here on Google Earth, is this beautiful tomb from the 17th and 18th centuries. I think it was overlapping when it was built. It is the tomb of the prophet Charchus. I have found absolutely nothing online about the prophet Charchus except that they existed. So, if you know anything about this person, please let me know down in the comments. I'd greatly appreciate it. Googling that name just gave me results of the ancient kingdom of Colchis, things like that, because I thought I typed it wrong. I found nothing about this person except that they have a tomb here in Beylagan. I don't know what religion they were. I assume they were Sufi, probably. I have no idea. So if anyone could let me know, I would appreciate that. Ağsu was founded around that time that tomb was built. But the story of Ağsu starts in the nearby city. Make sure I get it right here, in Shamaki. You can see right there, Shamaki. In 1734, Nader Shah invaded, and he attacked the town of Shamaki, pretty much destroyed most of it. Nader Shah was a Shah of Persia, what's now Iran, is down here. He's been nicknamed the Napoleon of Persia. And he greatly admired Genghis Khan and Tamerlane and how they would just wander, conquer, destroy, things like that. So that's what he was all about. And that's what he did here in Azerbaijan in 1734. So the people here in Shamaki lost their homes. So in 1735, he ordered Ağsu to be built, so that people could relocate there. It was nicknamed New Shamaki, and then the old town became Old Shamaki. The people here obviously weren't too happy about the rule of Nadir Shah. There was a lot of resistance movements beginning in 1743. Pretty much lasted until his death, I think about a decade later. The Guba Khanate attacked the town in 1769. They destroyed it completely. People fled back to Shamaki. And here I'll flash up the ruins of what's left of that town. Yeah, very sad that both of the towns we're talking about were destroyed. But the ruins of the old city, or the ruined city they call it, are being very well preserved, studied from like an archaeological perspective, and is a little bit of a tourist center, so that's pretty neat. And again, I found nothing about this town being rebuilt, so I just have to assume it was in the 20th century, probably around the time of the Soviet Union, so that it could be a production center of some kind. And that is pretty much all that I have for you tonight. Unfortunately, I wish I could talk more about Azerbaijan. If you want more about Azerbaijan, I'll toss my Azerbaijan playlist right up there for you to enjoy. We go more in depth about like Baku and other regions with a lot more history, a lot more recent history. The recent history of Azerbaijan is pretty sad, but it's at least more to talk about, right? So my new plan for 2025 is to give you a little bonus whenever I don't have a Google Earth segment to give you, just to stretch out the video a bit and to give you a little bit more relaxation. Because I know some of you like the shorter videos, but I don't like making shorter videos. I want you to relax and enjoy. So, Azerbaijan is nicknamed the Land of Fire, and if you watch any of my videos that take place here on the Baku Peninsula, you'll know why. But I figured I would get you some fiery sounds for you tonight. So of course I put them on the other end of my desk. Let me grab my accessories here. One second. I did not plan this out very well. Here we go. We're going to start off with some matches. If you've never heard matches being struck and lit in ASMR style, it's wonderful. And then we're going to light some candles. Of course, I have a woodwick candle for you. I have a bunch of woodwick candles. They're my favorite, so I try to pick the most, like a seri one, I suppose, and I picked toasted sandalwood. It's a very strong scent. As you can tell, I've only burned it a couple times. Well, I've burned it a bunch. It's a very, very strong masculine scent. You can see the woodwick in there. So yeah, it's really overpowering, strong, musky smell. So I figured that's kind of a seri, I suppose. And then just to deviate from the woodwick, I grabbed a regular sized candle. Just this little one. It's lilac blossoms, but it'll give us a nice little flame for us. And I'll tap on the glass for you. So that is going to be it for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this style of content, please consider subscribing. If you're disappointed there's not a lot of Google Earth, be sure to subscribe now, because Next, we're going to the Philippines, and oh boy, are there so many slideshows on Google Earth in this area for us to enjoy. We're going to see lots of really cool volcanoes and forests and beaches and things. So many things to look at. So be sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Don't forget to give this video a little thumbs up. I would appreciate it very much. And toss me a comment down below. That always helps my channel to circulate throughout YouTube. I hope that you found this video to be relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night. Good night.